The door goes down at dawn. Inside, sealed bricks, duffels stuffed with cash, maps of ports circled in red. That's the start of the file investigators built around Secretary Jackson Reed, and the moment they say the case jumped from corruption to national security. We're reconstructing the first hour, the breach, the seizure, the timeline that shows how an office built for oversight became cover for movement. Why did a note near Houston read, "Last option"? And why did the secretary vanish the night agents say they closed in? Before we move on, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and like the video. They choose 5:12 a.m. because bodies are slow and streets are empty. Sleep cycles favor compliance, fewer people wander into a hot scene, and phones sit on nightstands instead of in hands. The first 15 minutes confirm why the clock matters. A clean hallway, a family room staged with certificates and challenge coins, a toddler's step stool near the sink, then the rhythm breaks, closet rail doesn't line up, the false back pops with a pry bar, and sealed duffels stare back. A floor safe drags the rug down on one edge. In the office, a printer tray clacks out with SIM cards nested under a 4 paper. What starts as a warrant execution starts to look like a pipeline. The stack forms tight at the door, steel ram hits once, twice, and the jam splinters. Team Blue peels left to the office, Team Red clears the bedrooms. A third element flows through the garage, cutting off exits. The command channel calls timestamps like a metronome. Breach 5:12, master clear 5:14, garage secure. A supervisor walks the scope line from the warrant, reads out areas to be searched, and keeps eyes on what's in play. Evidence techs follow with body-worn cameras up, photographing every drawer before fingers touch anything. The method is dry by design. No grey zones. Rooms look staged for a ceremony, not a crime scene. Folded flags in triangular cases, framed carrier photos, a signed academy program. Then the closet panel swings. Heat-sealed bricks fill the duffels, each brick wrapped in plastic with a heat seam you can trace with a thumb. The first field test turns cobalt blue. A second kit duplicates the result. No arguments. Cash sits in bankers' boxes with serial numbered bands, still tight. Pelican cases line a low shelf. Pop the seals, and you get hardened phones with wiped logs and stickered IMEI numbers. Open-air triage starts on the driveway to keep the interior clean. Tarps spread. A folding table becomes a sorting bench. Every item gets photographed, tagged, and weighed. Chain of custody tags clip on zip ties. Each tag number lands in the seizure log with time, finder, location, and a short description. 2 agents read back the entries to confirm. A third agent scans tag barcodes to tie photos to the log in real time. The ledger will dictate charging decisions later, so they keep it tight now. Policy shapes the entry. Dawn execution reduces risk, and the knock and announce call sits on a matrix that weighs safety and evidence destruction. If a judge authorizes a no-knock, teams still reassess at the door. Here, the element knocks, announces, and enters quickly under the authority of the warrant. The goal is control, not surprise for its own sake. Maps come out of the office last. Gulfport stands circled in red. Marked arrows run from anchorage to yard, with notes near inspection sheds. A single post-it near Houston reads, "Last option." For freight professionals, that points to choke points. Fixed cranes, limited berth windows, and inspection teams that rotate on predictable clocks. Triage timing matters too. A box that lands at 0200 might leave the gate before the morning shift changes. If you can steer which boxes stall and which roll, you can move a lot without touching a pallet. The inventory raises a basic question. No one hoards throughput. The quantities on the floor signal movement, not consumption. Someone used access to push volume through, then staged reserves and cash buffers at home. That reframes motive from greed to logistics control. By the hour mark, agents bag narcotics equivalents totaling about 2 tons, count roughly 40 million in cash, and stack port schematics with encrypted devices. A ledger lists drop windows and initials next to dates. Probable cause doesn't rest on a hunch anymore. It sits on tags, timestamps, and tested samples. The scene answers what was found. The next scene asks how those items crossed official lanes without tripping alarms built to catch exactly this. On camera, his role looks ceremonial. Ribbons cut, ships commissioned, speeches about readiness. Off camera, the leverage sits in calendars and taskings. That desk calendar becomes a quiet blueprint. Port calls line up with inspection rotations, meetings shift by 30 minutes, and a specific container stack gains an extra hour in the yard. You don't need bolt cutters when you can steer clipboards. The paradox explains how an oversight office can become a switchboard. Control the paperwork, you control the sequence. Control the sequence, you choose which crate meets a flashlight and which rolls to a gate. Surveillance adds pressure. Analysts review weeks of footage and see Sophia Hayes in proximity again and again, outside events, in a corridor near restricted suites, stepping into a black sedan that ties back to a staff pool. Then she vanishes. Her case moves from missing to homicide when investigators connect timestamps, phone pings, and a vehicle spotted near a river access lot. That escalation forces a forensic scrape of his movements and communications. Each calendar entry gets mirrored against port logs. Every after-hours call is matched to a container's arrival or a warehouse door opening in the night. The routes stay invisible because they look like routine. Access to schedules means advance notice on who inspects what and when. Reassignment orders shift a sharp inspector off a target terminal to a quieter one 2 piers down. Inspection priorities change with a signature that seems harmless. Optimize throughput, reduce congestion. Those nudges decide which container opens and which sails sealed. A single email about weather contingencies buys another 12 hours for a box to sit in a blind corner. The muscle never has to show up. A click on an approval chain does the heavy work. Insider threats grow under trust. Background checks come back clean. Audits show nothing because paperwork aligns with policy. Insider risk models across federal agencies warn about this pattern. Leverage legitimate access, keep activity within normal variance, and let routine approvals act as cover. The trick is not to hide, it's to blend. When approvals flow on time and every form has a signature, alarms don't trip. The framework flags anomalies, but small, consistent adjustments stay below thresholds. That's the shield. The network talks like co-workers who hate email. Group chats roll with initials instead of names. Short strings reference drops, windows, and covers, while status emojis stand in for inspection outcomes. Green check means cleared. Hourglass means delay. A repeated line appears after sensitive shipments. Protected. The word implies coverage. Someone guarantees no random spot checks, no wandering canine teams. The circle runs from suits to stevedores, each actor playing a small part, never touching the full picture. When flight enters the record, the optics matter. A fast boat leaves a private dock after midnight and heads for open water. Patrol boats vector in on AIS gaps and thermal hits. The chase ends near a channel marker. Engines cut, hands go up, wet cuffs click on. In the narrative, agents present to a jury, that sequence suggests knowledge and fear of consequence. It's not definitive by itself, but paired with calendars and messages, it tells a straight line. The geography spans more than one city. Warehouses sit in DC MDVA for short holds. Gulf facilities handle the heavy volume. Storage units get leased under clean IDS, paid quarterly by autopay. Encrypted phones rotate in 3-month cycles and line up with time-stamped port movements. When a phone lights up, a container gate record lights up too. Then a Triage truck logs a nighttime run. The pattern repeats enough that the math closes gaps the messages leave open. Power hid in signatures and schedules. The cash and drugs mattered, but the leverage was in forms routed, inspections shifted, and people moved like pieces on a board without tripping a single alarm. That is how a network wore a government badge and passed as routine.